Okay, so in the program, we talked about when you're buying an as-is property and how you view the septic and well distance and how you can do a preliminary check on the septic. You're not going to be able to see through the ground, obviously, so you do the basics. Make sure the well and septic are 50 feet apart. I walk you up to the well head. I'm going to walk you to the septic tank lid here in the rear of the yard. If they're 10 feet apart, you probably want to pass on the property because it's going to be very hard to get financed for a consumer and user purpose kind of deal. But so on this particular septic, what we had was an older tank system with a little sand mount. Sand mounts are with the little humps in the backyard. So the way you can simply test, not really test, but view a septic to see if it's even a workable system is if you go to the tank, you pull the lid off and the water is up to the lid, that means you probably have a drain field that's clogged or saturated. If the water level is below the baffles in the tank, then you might have a broken tank. And that's what I had here at the situation. And I'm gonna walk you over and show it to you. So I had a tank that was cracked. So what happened is the level would never make it to the baffles. So what we did was we installed a new tank and a new pump, because with sand mounts, you have a pump system that pumps the fluids into the sand mount itself. So we had to put a whole new tank and a new pump system in to get the system functioning. This system, these repairs here cost me about $5,400 for everything you're gonna see. So, new tank, and then if you come over here, Pat, you can kind of shoot down the line there. We had to put a new line in as well, PVC. What they had in there before was Orangeburg. This is why you can't really see this stuff when you're doing an as-is sale. But while we're in here, since we're putting the tanks in, we might as well go ahead and put the pipe in too. It's so inexpensive. But what I learned was when you look down here, this initial tank was very low in fluid, which made me conclude that this tank is very old and had a crack in it. They don't make tanks round anymore. They're always square now. The newer tanks are square. So this is probably 50 plus years old, this round tank. So it had a crack in it. This tank will come out. This will be tank 1 and then tank 2 with pump. And then of course the line runs right into the house. So that's how you want to look at it. If the water's low below the baffles, you probably have a cracked tank. If the water is above the baffles and almost to the lid, you probably have a saturated drain field. There, in that case, when you have a saturated drain field, you got to be very careful because that could mean a whole new system, which would cost you tens of thousands of dollars, okay? But when it's just a cracked tank, this cost me $5,400, tank pump, full assembly, okay? So just keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the distance here. So you can see here the septic's in the rear of the home. We're gonna walk around to the front. I'm gonna show you where the well is. Sometimes wells will have a wellhead, or they will be in a manhole cover, or you won't be able to find it because there'll be a jet pump in the basement, okay? So the well here is the typical drilled cast with cap on it. That's what a well looks like, okay? So you want to make sure that well head is 50 feet minimum from the septic tanks in the rear, or on any property. You want to make sure it's at least 50 feet apart. Take a tape measure, measure 50 feet. If you have that as a minimum, you should be able to sell the house either FHA or USDA. Keep in mind the drain field has to be 100 feet from the wellhead, so those are the minimum requirements.